with Chapter 3 and 4 release, we have officially entered a new era of Deltarune. God willing and the creek don't rise, we have a year to stew in the new information and lore reveals, to theorize and continue to ponder if Papyrus will ever actually show up in this game. To start off this brave new world, it is first most important to look back and think about how the theory landscape has been changed, and especially what of our old theories are still viable. And especially what of my old theories are still viable. So today, I'm going to take a little bit of time to review my few theories that I've made on this channel, see what still works, what doesn't anymore, and begin to formulate some new theories. Out of what I have left, out of the ashes, that will definitely be all that's left of what I have. Anyway, nowhere better to start than with the eggs. In my very first theory video, I proposed two possible uses for the eggs. These theories were based off the fact that we have been putting eggs in specific places throughout Hometown. Rotten Egg theory states that these places will be the first to be overtaken by darkness when the roaring happens. Nest theory is sort of the opposite, which states that these places will be at least momentary safe havens from the roaring. These are both playing off the idea that the eggs are not too important and not too unimportant. Thus, they would not change the story, change the ending, but would change your interactions that you had throughout them, which I personally feel like can sort of fit that requirement. With what we've learned from chapters 3 and 4, I think it's safe to say we can toss both of these out the window as they currently stand. For one thing, as far as I'm aware, you can't put these eggs anywhere. The egg you get in chapter 3, you never leave the Dark World in chapter 3, so you can't put it in a house, and I don't think you can put it anywhere in the Dark World. Chapter 4, you have a little bit of time to walk around, but again, as far as I know, there's nothing to do with the egg. You are able to keep track of how many eggs you have, as they are apparently showing up on Birdley's desk in the classroom, but other than that, their exact location and if they've been put away or not, so far doesn't seem as important as I thought it was originally. So, do the eggs mean anything? Is there any reason to collect them? Will they pay off in some way? Or is the reward just learning more about Chris's past, meeting the mystery guy and learning more about him, and the eggs just being a way to track how many times you have done that? Personally, I want to believe that there is a reason to continue collecting eggs, that the egg itself has some significance. And I think, in some ways, you could say that the eggs are similar to a Titan, as a Titan is explicitly described as hatching. So perhaps there's some kind of connection there. But for all I know, maybe they do just hatch in the end and they just hatch into cute little chickens. Of my two theories, of nest theory and rotten egg theory, the most I'd be willing to kind of carry them forward, reinvent them with the new information, is that maybe they will decide whether you can or can't visit the classroom at the end, either protecting the classroom or making it particularly susceptible to the roaring. These are just kind of my initial thoughts playing off of my old theory and the new stuff that we've learned. I haven't had much time though to really consider what my new egg theory would be. That's not what this video is about anyway. This is about just saying, hey, do I think my old theories are worth keeping around or not? And right now, unfortunately, I do not think rotten egg and nest theory are worth keeping around. Next up, we have my video discussing what the Titans are. And folks, we did not just get more info on the Titans. We got to see a goddamn Titan in the flesh. Or in the shadow, whatever they're made up of. In that previous video, I proposed a few ideas of what the Titans could be. First and most debunked, I said that the Titans were adults in one form or another in the Dark World. The Titans are definitely not adults. We got to see Toriel and Undyne in the Dark World, and while Tenna was oddly worried about what would happen if Toriel woke up, I doubt the worry was that she would turn into a Titan. After all, in Chapter 4, we got to see that they are made when a dark fountain is created within a dark world. I also proposed that the Titans could be made of, formed from, or related to the save points in some way. And personally, I'm fine still keeping this one on the table. Though we have confronted a Titan, we still don't know much about their makeup, what makes a Titan other than the fear of the dark. It still seems extremely important and interesting that they have that four-pointed star imagery all over them, especially as protecting their face. I said that you would have to defeat Titans in order to get save points back. And while that didn't happen with the Titan we fought, we also didn't have access to any save points after the Titan was formed. This is likely for a Doyleist reason that Toby didn't want to trap the player in the middle of the Titan fight, but it does just so happen to work in my favor, so we're gonna pretend that it actually has a Watsonian explanation. And that's that save points can't exist while Titan is around. Finally, in that video, I suggested that Ralsei was a form of Titan. I'm not as positive about this one as before, but I think it's still worth keeping on the table. Ralsei is still extra strange for a Darkener, and considering that the closet has so much Titan imagery when you first enter it, you can't help but to wonder if perhaps this place is a little darker than your average dark world. After all, the fountain there specifically is capable of supporting any Darkener from any other dark world. What's up with that? We still don't know why that is. Though I have seen it posited that it can hold any kind of Darkener because it's a closet. It's storage. You can store anything there and it will belong. The next video posited the idea that there could be a judgment hall in Deltarune. Obviously, Deltarune does not have to always completely parallel Undertale, but I think it's interesting when those parallels turn up, and I think the Judgment Hall could be one of those. Just as some kind of confrontation where you are forced to reflect on your actions near the end of the game, before the final room. This one is also one I think is worth keeping on the table. It hasn't been proven, but it also has not been disproven yet. While I'm not sure we'll need to close the Closet's Dark Fountain at the end of the game, I personally flip-flop between whether that would or would not be a satisfying ending, like on a weekly basis. I do think that the final confrontation will be there. Furthermore, I don't think any of the judge candidates that I propose have strictly been ruled out yet. Though, admittedly, the lowest two on the list, Birdly and Sans, get more unlikely every time that I think about them, and might as well be nixed from the list altogether. My final theory video that I put together was, we know nothing about the Angel's Heaven. We still know nothing about the Angel's Heaven. Okay, so we got a little more about the Angel's Heaven than we did before. In fact, the game has been making more implications that the player is the angel. Particularly the prophecy that you can see in sort of the sewer area, I don't know what else to call it, where the party gets to see presumably an image of the angel, but you as the player just kind of see a black square. And a lot of people think that because it's a black square, it's supposed to reflect the player and you see yourself. That being said, we've also had more imagery that furthers Noelle being strongly related to the angel in some way, if not another. I mean, they straight up gave her angel wings she used to wear all the time, just like Chris used to wear a pair of red devil horns. The exact connection between the player and Noelle at this time isn't really clear. Obviously, she's very important for the weird route, but the whole thing with the weird route is not following the prophecy. So how is she supposed to connect to the player in the prophecy? How she exactly fits into the prophecy is pretty unclear. A lot of people have proposed that there is a fourth character in the prophecy other than Susie, Chris, and Ralsei, and that could be Noelle. Alternatively, maybe Noelle and Susie swap spots in the prophecy. While we got a lot more about it, we're still missing huge swaths of the prophecy, so it's hard to make any clear decisions on that. I do suspect, though, that she does have a major role to play, considering the prophecy's mention of Heaven's Ring, which I believe to be a very literal ring that Noelle will be able to wear at some point. A few other things that I brought up in that video was the idea that the Angel's Heaven might be something that can change depending on how you play it, and I'm actually split on whether I think that's still viable or not. The most I think it is possible, however, is in the way that the weird route diverges from the prophecy, thus making it possible that there's still an Angel's Heaven in the weird route, but manifesting as something else. More than anything though, I mentioned that perhaps the Roaring and the Angel's Heaven are the same event, and I definitely do not think that anymore. Considering the way the prophecy talks about both, even if just briefly, it seems to make it clear that both are pretty separate ideas. Alright, let's look at the scoreboard now that we are done with that. Youch, that doesn't look too good. Then again, that's about par for the course post chapters 3 and 4. While a lot of theories were toppled though, it leaves a lot of space to now rewrite, reconsider, and revise what we were thinking before, and that's exciting. With all that said and done, it's time to move onwards. I'll get to work on my next video, and I hope all of you will hang in there until then and have a wonderful day.